we drink and we bullshit. And by drink, I mean coffee.
Yeah.
Welcome to our fireside chat.
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm joking. So I do have a question for you guys about last week. I don't want to recap everything, and neither does anyone else here.
No.
Neither do Alexis's cats.
Neither do.
Neither do. Singing the songs of their people. What was your favorite elimination from last week's episode?
Ooh.
Amanda's being eliminated.
I thought my favorite was going to be Mark versus Derrick.
Yeah.
Because that's fucking epic.
It is, yeah.
I'm also like fully ready to bring it up tomorrow. But I was like, should I bring a poll? Like a thing? Because I feel like they have props like that, but like the spirit stick from Bring It On, you know?
Yeah. Have Derrick sign it.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
But I think actually it was balls in.
I like that.
I like to watch it.
I think for me, like this one's so hard because I too thought that the pole wrestle was going to be, Mark and Derrick was going to be the most exciting one. But I think I'm going to go with Theo Pauly in the Hall Brawl. Just because it was so exciting. It was so I expected Theo to win. I'm pretty sure we said that on the first recap that we did. But I didn't expect him to fold Pauly in half like that. You know what I mean? So that one really shocked me. So I really liked that one. And I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I personally enjoyed the Take Shelter. So those are the ones I'm going back and forth. I just like the ones that were it was kind of exciting to watch. So
what about you, Tony?
Do I think that Take Shelter should have been the fourth elimination rather than Not So Fast? No. Did I really end up enjoying Take Shelter? Yeah. I thought that it was really evenly matched. It was probably the biggest equalizer out of all of the eliminations, because any of the other ones, it was really, you knew what was going to happen for the most part. But with Take Shelter, it was really down to the wire, to the point where when Kellyanne looked like she had won, and I looked down at my phone for a second, and when I looked back up, all I saw was the hand hit the buzzer. And I was like, Jesus Christ, Cara Maria's out already. And then I realized that it was actually Cara Maria's camera, and that's just how close it was.
Yeah.
So definitely that. I give props to Pauly for going that hard both times, knowing that it's going to be a really hard win if he were to win, not expecting him to win, but he gave it 100% both times.
It hurt to watch.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
At the start, I was like, yeah, fuck him up. And then he was fucking him up. And I was like, damn.
Back off, Theo. Why you gotta go so hard for it?
Yeah. You got the point across the first time. You didn't have to bowl him over and step on him.
You ain't have to do him like that, Theo. You have to step on his face.
That was rough, bro. I've seen nicer people in the NFL.
What was your favorite?
I had to... so each one of them kind of, I felt like had a letdown. One side was really good and the other side wasn't. The Balls In, Nia and Amanda was a really great match.
It was pretty good.
But Tony and Leroy, which I thought was going to be a really great match, wasn't.
Disappointing.
And, the same with Era 1, I thought Derrick and Mark, I was like, holy fuck. And then I saw Mark do that weird, WWE flip, and I was like, this is so counterproductive to what you should be doing. But then I watched Anissa and Katie. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be over in 10 seconds. And then Katie's got Anissa in an armbar, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I lean towards Era 1. I would say the Hall Brawl, just because Theo and Pauly was so just devastating, but because Olivia Nerys purposely tried not to make contact going through. Oh,
you have to pick both? I thought we were just picking one. To me, it's
a what's your favorite elimination? So to me, I would probably say Era 1. I think it delivered the most out of all of it.
If I'm looking at both, it has to both of them. Then I agree. Yeah, Era 1 probably had the best. That up there.
Yeah. I
agree.
Anyways.
But I'm actually curious because Tony, you brought up a good point that you don't agree that Era 4's elimination should have been take shelter. And I don't either. So I'm just curious, what would you guys have rather seen it be?
I mean, not so fast for me, but also I like the fact that the reason that it's there is from the very first season that I watched because of Jay. And it's because of Jay that it was there. But yeah, definitely not so fast. If you look back at all of the times that it's been used and how devastating it's been, one way or the other, 100%.
Yeah, not so fast is actually my favorite elimination ever. So I agree.
Mine too.
I would say that, but it doesn't follow the rules.
No, I agree. Yeah.
And that's the hardest part about it is they don't have really any great eliminations that they've created in the last 10 seasons.
It's true. The challenge is known for following their own rules.
Yeah. And so, like, I don't know. I felt like it should have been a puzzle. Probably.
I think some sort of puzzle or even something like
Kellyanne and Cara getting a puzzle would have been so fucking funny.
Well, like, even if it was something like endurance related, like what Corey versus Darrell on Double Agents, where they had that rope and they had to run and try to get to the button, and like Devin beat Wes in it. You know, even just something like that, or the one that like what was the one that Casey did? I think it was it Double Agents or Spies Lies,
or even what Jordan and Chauncey did.
Even something like that. You know what I mean? Just some sort of like endurance, strength kind of thing. I think would have worked a little bit better here. But you know, it ended up being entertaining, and you know, it was close on both sides, and I did enjoy that. What I didn't enjoy though was the editing, like and I know that the fan base has already ripped this apart. You know, but just. We can't talk about episode 2 without talking about how horrendous that editing choices were. I don't know why they cut it like that, but I didn't like it.
It gave no resolution, especially when you left us on a cliffhanger from the previous episode.
Right.
Like Jordan's walking into the house like, oh shit, nobody knows he's there. Cut to daily. Everybody's there. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Nobody cares. Nobody noticed.
And then the next episode, it's who's going to get voted in. Cut to everybody walking into the stands. Okay, so
I'm going to say the people in their uniforms are the ones that were voted in.
That's what I'm going to go with. Like, that was stupid too. Dude. But it's just like, why leave us on such a big cliffhanger of Theo and Pauly like yelling at each other in the Game of Thrones room and not finish showing us the fight. I don't understand that. Like, it's so weird. I don't know. Anyway.
They just kissed again. That's what it was.
I was about to say, you think Pauly kissed him again?
It's like, and I forget who said it. I'm stealing somebody else's line here, but it's like fucking Tarantino tried to direct an episode of The Challenge. Like, we're getting the ending, but then they're sprinkling the lead up into the middle, and it's like, no, dude, this is a reality show. I don't need this.
Yeah, this was unneeded. This was totally unneeded.
I love that you went Tarantino. In my head, I was like, it's like Christopher Nolan directed the episode.
Yeah, it's like I'm fucking like, I don't need to read Fight Club when I'm watching The Challenge. Just give it to me straight.
Just
like,
show me what happened. That's all I need.
This sport.
Look, we're real easy to fucking please, okay? I mean, not, but as far as the editing, just show us the fucking show in the order it happened. Yeah. That's all we're really asking for, okay? Then pick up on cliffhangers where you left off. I don't know. Just a suggestion.
So I know it's so premature because we don't know what role it's going to play. But how did you guys feel about this idea of karma points?
It's popularity content. Like, it's not karma points. It's friend points again. So unless, I don't know, I don't like it yet. I will be swayed if it's decent. But as it stands right now, all it is the people who put the person in who went home are getting low points. The people who they're friends with and have been friends with outside of the confines of this game get high points. So it doesn't actually reflect anything you've done in the game necessarily.
Right.
Well, and here's my thing. It's like, obviously it's way too early. If it turns out to be something like, oh, you got the most points from your, peers, you get a 10-minute head start on the first stage of the final. Okay, that's cool, whatever.
Yeah, cool.
But if it's like, hey, you have the least amount of karma points, so you're not allowed to run the final, I'm be like, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. If it's something like that, I'll be pissed.
Or it's like, oh, you have the second best time, but you have the fourth most karma points, so you get third place. Like, no. That's not how finals
they
work.
wouldn't do something like that, would they? No way.
Yes.
I don't know what they're going to do with it.
I hope they don't do something stupid like that.
But every episode has had like a new rule that's like, whoa, what's going on?
It has.
I mean, obviously it's the first couple episodes, but
yeah, but it is so far. It is a very twist heavy episode, you know, and obviously we'll get into that once we break into episode 3. But I feel like they're just kind of putting a little bit of everything. They're trying to get a little bit of every era, you know, every stage that the challenge has been through into this 40th season.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of going into this expecting to be overloaded a little bit with like twists and just little things that they're trying to feed us that nostalgic feeling. So I'm kind of just expecting to be overloaded with that a little bit. And I think that maybe that's why like a lot of these twists and stuff that they're throwing in aren't really bothering me, because I've seen this a lot, that there's like a good portion of the fan base is not happy that there's already so many twists in the game this early in the this early in the game.
Yeah.
By the way, to everybody, I'm getting over a cold, so bear with me.
Is it surprising that the fan base is already bitching about something?
No.
I'm shocked personally.
I mean, look.
The nice thing is you can't predict the end because you have no idea what's going to happen in the middle.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's exciting.
I agree.
Here's my thing is, like, why complain? You know, like, I wasn't even that into this show until I met Corrina, and then I watched it every season with her, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm into the show because I'm invested. You know, like, I know who these people are, and so
that.
yeah, it's true though. It's absolutely true. Like, I had no interest in the challenge before we lived together. Anyways, at the same time, it's like, how are you going to complain about the same shit that happens every season?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's almost to the point now, like, if they didn't have shitty titles, I would be upset. If they didn't have fucking piss poor foreshadowing throughout the episode, I would kind of get upset, even though I rag on them about it. Like, it's what makes the show the show.
Where's the terrible editing?
Yeah.
Bring it back.
I just don't like when they don't show stuff sequentially. And maybe I'm just now noticing that because we're breaking the episodes down every week compared to
do
before.
It a lot.
Yeah, but compared to before, I was just watching it for me. But now it's just like, fuck, man, I can tell this argument took place here and there just by watching the episode twice.
Yeah.
It's like the double-edged sword of knowing too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, before we go too deep into that, I know we have a whole nother episode to break down, but I did want to get who you guys had as kind of like your MVP. Just let's not do honorable mentions, none of that. Just MVP for, you know, what was that? Episode 2, the Night of Eliminations, Era Invitational Part 2. For me, it's Theo and Naya.
I like it. I am going to go ahead and I am going to give my mail to Theo because he absolutely smashed that shit. But I'm going to give my female one to Katie, with no disrespect to anybody else, but she absolutely killed it. She surprised me. And I just want to show her some recognition for that, because I know it wasn't easy for her to go out there and put in that much work and that much effort against Anissa. So
against a friend.
I'm also going Theo and Naya. But did Anissa end up breaking her, like, did she meet that stat that she wanted to now that she has another elimination win?
Well, because Kara went in too, so.
Or no, Kara would still be one ahead.
So she'd still be one ahead.
So no. Okay.
Anissa's still chasing it.
Still chasing it.
I am going to mix it up a bit. Sticking with Naya, though, but I'm going Ryan and Naya because they're the only two that were in the bottom that came back. Everybody else that came back were the people that were voted in.
Nice. That's a really good point.
I can dig it.
Yeah, I like it.
Want a little CT pro tip? Don't let it get too quiet before going into the intro music. I missed it too.
You did.
I like that Alexis was like, I'm gonna do this, facing
She
the other
was
direction. And
trying
the
to
camera was like,
hide it
what are
and
you
it
doing
followed
over
her.
there?
Oh my god!
It totally
can't
did. It
escape
followed
it.
you and zoomed right in.
You can't get away from
It
me.
was like a hookup on the challenge.
God.
Hey everyone, I'm Rick Hayes. This is my beautiful wife, Corrina Hayes. We got Alexis, Tex Rawson, and then we've got Tony, Stats, and Info Lance. We're here to break down episode 3 of Challenge Battle of the Eras, a fatal era? Era? Sorry, there's a millennial in me. I can't stop it.
I definitely did that earlier today.
So did I.
No, it's a good title. I was actually shocked when I saw it. I was like, whoa.
I might not even
kicking the season off with a good title? What is this?
Wordplay?
I might not even add anything
I know, right?
on ours. It might just be a fatal era.
Wow, the listeners will be shocked. They'd be like, you guys didn't make it. Are you guys okay? Are you guys under duress?
It's probably going to be era, parentheses, DJ sounds. Just putting that out there. Hey, vote on it on IG.
Now, would it be parentheses or would it have asterisk?
I don't know. Yeah, probably millennial ways asterisks, but
Yeah.
I write too many emails that say to or whom it may concern.
Brackets DJ noises.
Brackets. Semicolons on both sides just to look fancy.
Oh, God. Dear Lord. Anyway.
Quotation.
Welcome to Font Talk.
Oh.
Arial.
Oh, my gosh.
Anyways, we're here to break down this episode. Before we get into this, I want to start off like I have before. What is your overall thoughts on this episode? Good, bad? Wish you could have had a little bit more?
I mean, I always want more.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm insatiable.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was good. Honestly, I'm not here to bitch about it because,
That's literally what we're here to do.
well, we'll wait. We'll wait till later. But I feel like it's been good so far.
Yeah.
I agree. Look, like, I feel like I'm going to nitpick this episode. I'm going to pick out little things.
Then I'm gonna fuck with you because this was a fucking awesome episode. Like, I loved this episode. It
I
was
did
so
too.
good. I don't know what. I mean, okay, maybe.
That's what I'm saying. It was so good that you have to
There's like-
nitpick little things to
like-
complain about.
Yeah, like maybe it didn't again, and I know I sit in the minority on this, but I just don't think that the challenge needs to be 90 minutes, and I think that they put a lot of conversation and talk in to make it 90 minutes, and we could still get all of the action in an hour.
We're never,
You know what I mean? Like, and we wouldn't have to listen to the same conversations over and over. Because how many times did we have to listen to Tony talk about how he wants to make a deal with Era? Thanks, we fucking get it, bro.
But
We fucking get it.
we're never satisfied with our episodes because we watch it and we're like, they just show them at the bar for
know,
like
but then-
20 minutes.
but
like,
then, like-
it was a third of the
And
episode.
it was to be
But then-
continued.
Yeah.
But then, like 90 minutes, it's too much. Like it's just, I don't know.
I'd rather have
75 minutes.
You lost me there because honestly, I wish that the challenge ran like Love Island, where it was on like 5 nights a week and
Oh my
like
god,
at least an hour plus. Like, I need that.
No.
this podcast would not exist.
we do like a monthly
Well,
roundup.
no. Yeah.
yeah, monthly, season roundup.
The gameplay, questionable. The episode, excellent.
Yeah.
Is the easiest way to sum that up.
That's
Yeah.
a good.
Look, I even like the way they foreshadowed this episode. That's how much I enjoyed this episode because the one of the very first things we see after the intro is the picture of Devin. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yep.
And
Beating bananas.
being bananas and talking about, when you beat someone that you really don't like, and it doesn't
when
really.
you beat someone who sucks,
Yeah,
and
sucks.
you
That's what
send
it
them
is.
home.
And by the end of the episode, you're like, oh yeah, that connects. Okay, sweet.
Makes sense.
It was really well done. I like this
Yep.
episode compared to the previous episode, which I know a lot of people like because it was just nothing but eliminations. But
I feel like more people had complaints about episode 2 than approval. I don't know what word to use here, but
I was bothered by Elimination Fest just
Yeah.
because, like,
I liked it.
I liked it, but there was no substance to it.
Yeah.
Elimination Fest 2025.
I just hated the way it was edited. I think if they would have just told it in the story, it was anyway. We won't get back into that again. We got through that.
With all of that, I think we're all in agreement that this was actually one of the really great episodes that they put out in a long time. Mm-hmm. It starts off with everybody coming back in the house and kind of having their conversation. The first thing we get is Horacio saying, he'd rather go home.
He was talking to Michelle.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious because like at this point he's lost Nerys, in the first like week of being there. And just the way he said that to Michelle, it kind of makes me wonder, like, do you guys think Horacio's still in this game or do you think he's already checked out of it?
I think now he feels like he has to win it.
Do you think so?
I just feel like he's alone. And even though Kylan's there, I don't think he's checked out, but he's not far from it.
Yeah.
If the elimination comes, he's going to be like, whatever, let's go.
Yeah, yep. Well, that's what kind of makes me nervous with what happens at the end of this episode. But I'm like, no, please be in this game.
We know that he doesn't want to like continue doing the challenge, so I feel like that's kind of made me wonder what his attitude is during this whole season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I feel like he probably didn't enjoy it very much if that's how he feels after.
And I feel like because he doesn't have Nerys there, and because like he can potentially go up as a rep, I wouldn't be surprised just because of the type of player that he is. If he just was like, sure, I'll do it. Like, put me in. Jordan. because he can, like, he's done well historically in eliminations.
Yeah.
So if that's what he has to do and that's how he has to play the game, I can see him just kind of owning that, but still not like having that joy of being there. Like, huge contrast between Horacio episode 2 and Horacio episode 3.
Yes. And I think that's what I really picked up on in that scene is it was just like, he just seems like suddenly like he was so just up here and then now he's just like down here and it's just like, dude, like, please don't check out of this game because now I'm going to be pissed if this is truly his last season. And you know what I mean? And he's already checking out of the game mentally. Like that would just suck.
I don't really think he is. I think
I'm hoping
that doesn't seem like his nature though.
No,
that's true.
And I don't think he is. I think he's just upset. His girlfriend literally went home an hour and a half ago.
And that's true.
And regardless of him being checked out, if somebody was like, Horacio, you're going to be the nomination and if we lose, he's going to be like, okay, yeah, because if we lose, I didn't do as good as I think I should have.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
No, you're right. You're a good. That's a good point.
And Michelle should not pursue motivational speaking.
No,
no, she should
pursue cup of noodles.
Yeah, I agree. What did you guys think about Darrell? He had a confessional here where he talks about how he just wants to quote unquote be up there with the greats like CT, Jordans, Johnnies, etc. What did you guys think about that?
You're top 5 all time.
I mean, we know that, but I feel like he does almost need another one that's like current, alone, really badass, just to like prove his. I mean, the numbers don't lie, but it's been a while.
I mean, it tells me that he doesn't listen to our podcast because we've talked about how he's right up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, Darrell.
Yeah. I mean, that's my thing is like, nobody can convince him, I guess, of his standing. And I get him wanting to be like the top 2 or the top guy. But like, unless I hate to say this because I really like Darrell. He's one of my favorite people on all the seasons he's on. Is outside of All Stars, I don't think he does win another one.
Well, he's scared of heights, like deathly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge disadvantage.
It's a huge disadvantage. And I just feel like in long endurances, the competition's too steep.
Yeah.
It's not like it used to be where Darrell was by far the strongest and most athletic guy.
Yeah.
That kind of ended when CT was there.
Yeah. The competition level is definitely like, it's gone way up, especially in these newer seasons.
Because I'm just saying, like, let's just take a couple guys from each era. You have Kylan, Horacio, Jordan, Corey, Derrick C, and Darrell. Who's winning that final? You know, like it's going to be a lot of other people before Darrell. And I hate to say that.
Right.
I think All Stars is kind of his niche right now.
That's fair.
Well, and it's like, it's hard for anybody to compete with an Horacio who sort of just like came out of nowhere and tied the record for most eliminations for a rookie season.
Yeah. And on top of that, it's just hard to compete with someone who's 20 years younger than you.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, you know, that was a professional soccer player. So,
Straight up ripped.
True.
yeah. Or like Jordan, who's just
super ripped
in his fucking physical prime right now.
Right.
He's like in his early to mid 30s and trains his ass off to stay that way and to win these fucking challenges. I don't know. I just think the competition level is too steep. Anyways, the one thing that got kind of caught me by surprise and did have it on my bingo card was Emily and Brad hooking up.
Yeah.
Did anybody else have that one on that fucking bingo card?
No, but why do I like it though?
I
It
know.
makes so much
But
sense.
I'm not surprised at all. Like, I'm surprised it hasn't happened before.
They're so fucking hot together. Are you serious?
Yeah,
like
it
when
makes a lot of sense.
are you kidding?
Even like their personalities, I could see them getting along. And I could honestly see her being really good for him.
Oh yeah. Well, and I don't even think it's like a long-term thing, and I don't think either one of
Just,
them
like,
wanted it to be. I think it
energy.
was just
I could see it being good for his like state of mind. Like sometimes he's like panicky and she's like a calm person.
I agree. Yeah.
I just see them sitting there talking about like different frequencies and magnesium and like wild
Chakras.
caught like foods and mushrooms.
Like, so did you bring your rose quartz with you to the challenge?
So actually, really quick, not at all related to Emily and Brad, but related to Emily. And I just want to say it before I forget. But you know how like on Instagram, you can have like, what are they called? They're like broadcast channels or something where you get like special messages from people or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on Emily's. And she just sent out a message today taking a poll asking people, like asking fans if they would be interested if she set up a challenge obstacle course event where like, yes, thank you. That was my fucking, that was my reaction. I went on, vote yes, we would be interested. Fans would be so interested in this, Emily. Like
until you show up and it's like run 15 miles.
Yeah,
in the wilderness. I'm like, nah, bro.
Not me. I just know that
they're really nasty shit.
I'm gonna watch other people do that though.
I'll come watch, and you know, I'm voting yes on behalf of the fandom, but not me personally.
Do you have an ATV? Because I'll play TJ in this bitch. You know, and that's about it.
What if it was like the luge cars with the pulley thing?
Oh, then I'm doing it in a heartbeat.
It could be anything.
It could be, but unless it's something cool like that, I don't want to do it. Like if it was something like heights over water, I would do it.
Never.
If it was an eating challenge, fuck off.
Yeah,
I'm grown. And
thank you.
This one was the nastiest, I think.
Speaking of, let's get into that. The daily Gladiator. Gladiator.
Yeah.
Look, this is everything I want in a fucking daily. Just like this is everything I want in Alexis's camera. Her getting followed and the cat fucking with the blinds.
Yes. Beautiful. Perfection.
Water bottle, spray.
I think there's like a neighborhood cat that hangs out in the bushes out front, and it's storming, so I think that the cat's just like trying to get outside.
He's like, this is my place.
Out.
No, Mom, I cannot.
Go to bed. What time is it?
Like, you go to bed.
But anyways, getting back to that, this is everything I want in a daily.
Oh yeah, I loved this daily.
Interchange boat for having to run a couple laps or whatever of similar distance. But
I don't know. I liked the boat thing.
The boat
it caused
better.
so many trouble.
Hilarious.
It caused so much trouble, and I loved it.
Or like what they did on War of the Worlds 2, where you like carry something on your shoulder as a team. Like that's cool too.
It'd be great, but I'm just
the
saying,
boat
like,
was great.
It brought so much humor, and it caused so much problems that I don't know if I would have enjoyed the daily as much if it wasn't for like all the little things that happen, like how many times the fucking boats kept crashing into the thing, like Jody breaking her oar and then getting out and just pushing the fucking boat the rest of the way. Like
it's a power boat.
Is there a motorboat on the back of that thing? You know what I mean? Just
God.
Can't stop, won't stop. It's midnight. What up?
My cat must have drank my coffee of the day or something because
oh my gosh.
What in the world? I'm gonna have to kick him out.
You do what you have to do. We'll wait for you.
I have to.
Okay.
We'll continue to laugh.
They're gonna be at the fucking door. Seriously, everything I want in a daily.
It was great.
Even the way this daily was edited was good.
It was great.
You know what I mean?
Thank you for not doing weird editing.
Nitpick. The only thing that I don't like about this season is it's back on MTV, so we don't get really good music like All Stars.
Oh, yeah.
Or cussing.
Yeah, or cussing, because that's where Darrell really shines, is when we get those unedited.
I know.
So I have a question for you because I'm watching it, when I'm rewatching it, I'm watching it on a different service. So I'm potentially getting the one from the States, whereas the first time I'm watching it, I'm getting the Canadian version. Do you guys every week have the like TJ extended episode thing where it talks to the... Okay.
On cable, no. When we
rewatch it later, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Where do you rewatch it?
On demand.
I have got to figure this out because I pay a lot of money for cable and they better be giving me all the shit.
Well,
just if you rewatch the episode like on demand, like you go on your on demand thing and go into MTV.
Oh, yes. I can find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, this is one more step being closer to like Love Island because they always do after shows. So
again, there we still need shit you should have seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
what did you guys? Oh, I'm so sorry.
I was just going to say, probably going to what you thought, or was going to say, which is, what do you guys think of them having to pick captains?
Yeah, having to pick representatives, captains,
representatives.
Leaders,
they're not going to Senate for us.
That's what he called them. That's what he fucking called them. It's fucking stupid, but I don't know why they wouldn't have just called them captains to relate that back to Gauntlet. Like I wrote
captain in my notes.
Yeah, I wrote representative because that's what fucking TJ said, and I'm weird like that. But I also wanted to talk about that because I don't get why they don't just call them captains and just again make that connection.
I wrote
back
down
to Gauntlet.
I wrote down assemblyman or assemblywoman.
Oh my gosh, you're so dumb. Anyway, what did you guys think about that?
I don't necessarily care. Like, I understand why. And I liked the aspect of not really being told much. The people who are on Era 1 who were immediately like, yeah, if we don't win this, our representatives are going in. Versus Era 4, that they could have talked about it, but they didn't really show it. So it's just another interesting thing of like the different eras all look at every rule differently. Mm-hmm. The thing that bothered me immensely, and it is inconsequential, but it was so fucking weird, is they raised their hands and said their names. Yeah. This is season 40. It's the cast that has been curated specifically for the fans from all the eras, the best of the best. Hi, I am Derrick. That is my name. I am here. Right. I am Derrick, for Era 2.
Kosinski.
Or Era 1.
Born and raised it. No, no, we know who you are.
Like, at least Devin was like, those two. But everybody else was like, hi, this is my name.
The one I liked was Era 4, because Casey goes, me, Casey, and then Kylan. And Kylan's like, hi,
Hi.
And it was just like, yes, Kylan, because that's what I would do.
I
would
him.
do the same exact shit. Like, yep, that's me.
Yep, hi.
Yep.
I know you've seen me before, but
Yeah.
what was I going to say? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
You're good.
Era 1, Jody and Darrell are the captains.
Yep.
Era 2 is Derrick, C, and Aviv. Era 3 is Tony and Averey. And Era 4 is Kylan and Casey.
Yeah.
So basically what they have to do is the teams have to go out, row in a dragon boat, do one full lap around the island.
They got to do one full lap around the island.
Get out. They each have to eat a plate of something. There's like 10 total items. So divided by,
Some people have to eat 2.
Yeah. Someone's going to have to eat 2, basically.
Oh.
And then they have to put together a puzzle of all the seasons in order.
Yeah.
Pretty simple, but like we've always said, simple dailies equate to funny shit happening.
It really, really does. It just
Like the whole scene, like everything from Brad not being able to
oh my god, Brad
to steer.
his fucking confessional about CT though, when he's like, I'm trying to work the rudder, and CT's just up there yelling, "What's going on back there?" Brad couldn't even hold a straight face when he said it.
Was
I wrote down
Was it
Darrell's
Darrell?
quote. Yeah, he said, Brad said he knew how to work a rudder, but the motherfucker lied.
Lied.
I was like, yes.
At one point, Brad wasn't using the rudder and somehow managed to get an oar.
I
And
mean,
was using the
Did
oar
we
over
see?
top of the rudder.
He was just holding that shit out the back.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck
Like,
he was
what are you
doing.
doing, bro? What are you doing?
And everybody was so sure that he was going to be like set, I can't remember who it was when they were about to get in the boat. I think it was CT's like, we got our Viking here, like steering from the back, but
looks are
nah,
deceiving.
bro.
And it never fails. You get teams together, like somebody is going to run into the other person.
Oh yeah.
And then like when Era 4 hit Era 2, I was like, good thing their head was on a swivel because that dragon's going to fuck someone up.
Yeah, for real.
I think it went for Nehemiah.
Yeah,
that's
it
who.
did.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
Jody though with the broken oranges.
Trying to push back off the bank with the broken part of the fucking handle.
And then just hops out.
Further proof she has no quit whatsoever.
None.
Dude, yeah, can we just give it up to Jody though for
Yeah,
getting out and
for
pushing
reals.
the fucking boat?
Yeah. Also,
Because like
how fucking deep was the water? She jumped out by the land and went under.
yeah, went under, was bye-bye, like gone.
I don't think that was like a natural waterway. Just putting that out there. But I don't know
no.
the topography and layout of Vietnam either. So I'm
Wow.
going to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, Rick told me it was poo-poo water.
Yeah, it didn't look good. I don't know if I'd swim that motherfucker. That's dysentery.
Well, I mean, some people were sick, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have been sick after this next part, which is the fucking food place they had to eat.
Mm.
And look, I know people are talking mad shit about the vegan options,
No one fucking cares.
but if you have ever smelt durian in your life,
Yep.
Mm-mm.
it is one of the most foul fucking things.
Like Tori said, it literally smells like a rotting dead body. That is not an exaggeration. It is one of the foulest things I've ever fucking smelled in my life.
The tofu looks like actual shit.
It looked
It
like,
looked like cat
literal
shit.
cat shit.
It was called stinky tofu. That was what it was called. That was the name of the dish.
They should have just called it stinky poo poo and said it was vegan.
And then the
'Cause-
coconut worms? Are you fucking...
Ooh. Like I can handle
They were seasoned.
the
I don't
brain.
know.
The
Dude,
brain
the
I can
rat?
handle. The rat I can handle. The
The snake?
fucking moving grub worms I could not fucking do.
I couldn't have done the
Dude,
worms. I wouldn't...
I was throwing up.
I would have not been able to do... All right, so I would have been...
Okay, wait, you have to pick one.
I'd have been fine with the brains. I'd have been able to do the brains.
Snake tastes like chicken. You're
The
good.
snake, the rat, I'd have been all right.
Are you serious?
I would not have
Yeah,
been
I've
able
had
to do
snake
the
before.
worms, but I also wouldn't have been able to do the worms because I'm allergic to coconut. So there was my out from there. I would not have been able to do the boiled cow eyes. There would be no way I could eat that. looking at the fucking eye and it looking back at me.
I've thought about
bro,
this.
I couldn't do that. I could do the duck embryo. That one would have been fine.
No, I couldn't have done that.
But
no, I don't even like eggs.
I know you don't.
Nope. Oh, ooh.
Last eating challenge, we all went around and picked which one we would do. But this one, I would pull a J and I would just be like, this shit is fucking gross and I'm not eating any of it.
I'm pulling a Tori and I'm just going to plug my nose and drink the durian and then fucking eat the, and then I'm going to pull a Kylan and I'm going to eat the lemon.
Is that an option though?
Yeah, that's what she did.
Okay, yeah. What's up with the lemon?
Yeah.
They give them lemons as chasers so that they can get the taste off their tongue.
The cow eye?
Okay, so it's not like that was his plate.
No, that wasn't his plate.
The cow eye, I've thought about this. You flip it over so it's not looking you in the eye, and you just real quick and then eat it.
Look, I'm just going to say.
That thing's juicy, man. If you smash that.
I think the person who had the absolute best approach that we saw on camera was Jordan. He took he took the worms, but he went straight down the hatch, didn't bite it, didn't chew it, swallowed it like a pill. Done.
What if it's in there moving and you can feel it inside of your belly?
I'm sure he did.
What if when you poop it out, it's still moving?
Oh, I'm going to puke that motherfucker out.
Yeah, it's coming right back out.
Yeah, I'm puking them.
Wait, really?
I'm puking that bitch right back out
as soon as it moves. It's like the alien. It's gonna burst out your fucking chest.
I'm so disgusted.
Look, I'm gonna say the
We've
shot
got
that
Alexis thoroughly grossed out.
How do they not get sick?
They
like
did.
I'm
really
sure they
sick.
did.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I just ate a fucking rat. I'm gonna die.
But we also have to remember, like, these are Vietnamese delicacies. These are
It's only funny when you mess up because you're smarter than me.
I know. These are Vietnamese delicacies. So this is like things that, you know, like people in Vietnam like willingly choose to eat. So
I wonder if they
not me.
Do you think some people look at us and are like Big Macs?
Whoa, right? They're like, you're just eating a fucking dead cow. You know,
At least
like,
it's not its eyeball.
Sushi, you're eating raw fish. Well, no, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's delicious.
That doesn't,
Delicious.
Fucking delicious.
I guess.
I want sushi.
Still really gross.
Anyway.
CT, though, had the great strategy. CT pro tip. Sometimes you just gotta be a little crazy. And then he takes a bite, it falls out. He catches that motherfucker, and you know he shoved it back in his mouth.
I don't even know what he had.
I think he did the brain, didn't he?
I
think he did the brain with the blood-caked vinaigrette because CT loves his blood.
I mean, I like the people who are pissed about vegan. Like, it doesn't matter, man. Like, they still had to eat really gross shit. And not only that, people like durian has been used in food competitions in the past.
Yep.
As is, because it's fucking gross.
Yeah. They had it on Rivals 2. Wasn't that what they had in the was it Rivals 2 where they had durian?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So this is the second time CT's came into contact with durian, except in Rivals 2 he had to drink it.
I'm just grossed out right now.
Yeah, it's really fucking gross. You know what? Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just saying one last thing before we move on the daily, this part of the daily was I want to compliment the editing in this portion because we knew people were throwing up, but we didn't really see anyone throw up. Like even Corey's was like blocked by a stand or some shit just perfectly. But you're like, Corey's losing it. That's how you know it's a real eating challenge here.
But no, it's true though, because honestly, like I know that it's a big debate out there on whether or not we need eating challenges at all, right?
Yeah.
And I know that there's really no there's no correlation to any special ability or anything like that. I think that I don't mind them having eating challenges because it's just kind of part of the torture of being on the challenge and winning that like amount of fucking money. But I've just always thought it was so fucking unnecessary to show us so many shots of them like vomiting, like close-up shots of it. Yeah. And, you know, so I was very glad that this episode, they did not do that. They didn't give us a little montage. We didn't have to see people actually puking up close. We didn't have to hear a bunch of it. We knew it was happening, but that was all it really was. You know, it wasn't overdone. And so I did appreciate that.
I think it's because they did it early, because there were so many people. Like normally the eating competition is later.
That's
so
true.
They have so much more to focus on. But
That's
there
a
were
good point.
so many people that they just kind of had to show everybody eating it rather than the aftermath.
No, that's a really good point.
And you know what? I think the fact that it was just a part of two other things that they had to do in this daily, I really enjoyed because it didn't just take up the whole scene, like you said.
Mhm.
Coming out of the boat section, Era 3 is in the lead. Getting out of the food section, Era 3 is in the lead.
Did they fucking kill it?
And then we get to the puzzles, and Tori just dominates that whole shit. She's just like, this season, Rivals 21, just going through it.
She just starts rattling them off. And so apparently, along with like all the pictures and stuff in the house, they actually have the flags or the shields of every season hanging in the house. And Tori has apparently been studying these, according to Naya. Which it's good on Tori, because honestly, if they have all 40 season as flags or shields or whatever on the walls inside the house, you should probably take that as a sign that they're going to fucking ask you about it at some point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, duh. And they did it on 30. They did it on Dirty 30, and Tori was there for that. So I think that, you know what I mean? It was very smart of her to think of that. So, and to be prepared for that. So major props to Tori on that. She absolutely killed it on the eating challenge. Fuck all the vegan haters. She murdered that shit. I also want to give some props to Devin and Jordan. Devin took over control of coordinating that boat and getting Era 3 on track. And they absolutely smashed it going around that island. I don't think we saw a single scene of them like crashing into the banks or anything like that. Like, they did really, really well. And what I really loved about Jordan in this moment was like, Devin kind of took over and Tori was like, all right, everybody shut up and just listen to Devin. And Jordan was like, hey, just tell me what to do. And to me, it showed so much growth for Jordan, because I don't know that Jordan would have said that 10 years ago. Especially for someone like Devin.
Yeah.
So for me, it was one of those moments where I was like, hey, there's that new Jordan that I love. Like, I love that, And so I just really wanted to give him some props on that, because he's made some major improvements, personally. And so I just wanted to take a second to acknowledge that.
Well, and we know that Devin is master and commander on the water. Yeah. Let's just be honest. Yeah. It's already been established.
Well, and I guess, He
was giving Cleopatra vibes.
Wasn't that Jordan that he was
coaching on the rock sling
coaching? So I guess Jordan's got to have a little trust in him. I totally forgot about that. That's a good point.
I had also written that down as well, because it's like, this is another reason why Jordan is on so many of our Mount Rushmores, is because he is a leader and he is an absolute force to be reckoned with, but he's now also able to take a passive role on a team if somebody else is better suited to lead, and not everybody does that. I will also give props to Jody once again. She also knew all 40 seasons in order, which was actually why she was the representative. And she had said, like, it always sucks that I'm the one that did my homework and I'm the one that had. So that's why she was the representative, is because she had all 40 memorized.
Because just really quick, when they were picking representatives, in my mind, I was like, one of two things going to happen. Either the representatives are going to be who's eligible to go into elimination, or the representatives are literally going to represent the team on the field. So they might have picked Jody because she was like, hey, I got the seasons memorized.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Damn, that's crazy.
Like we said, Era 3 pretty much runs away with this. It really comes down to a battle of who's not going to be last, and it comes down to Era 4 and Era 1, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, because Era 2 comes in second. And
right on their heels, but like we're way behind, actually.
Weren't actually on their heels at all.
Right on their heels that they had already taken off and left on the side.
A full checkpoint behind them.
Yeah. And then Era 4 was like just getting to the like seasons part, and Era 1 was just getting to the seasons part, and Era 4 finished up. They weren't there very long.
Right.
So we end up finding out that the representatives for the winning team, which in this case is Tony and Tony and Averey, are safe from elimination, and they're the only representatives that are safe.
Yeah.
Darrell and Jody being the representatives from Era 1 because they lost are automatically going in. And now it's down to Tony and Averey to decide, are we going to go Casey Kylan or Aviv Derrick C?
Right. Yeah.
Which is interesting. I like this switch up, and I would say I really want to dive into it, but it doesn't matter because it's going to change next week. So
I will say this.
No kidding.
Because that was one of my one of the things I didn't really like about the gauntlet. I didn't like that once you were captain until you went home.
Yeah.
And you had to go into every elimination. Nobody else ever had to see one. So I at first, when they were kind of looked like they were bringing that back to this season, I was like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about this. But then now seeing the end of the episode, obviously we know that it ends up, we're going to be getting new ones every week, every challenge. And so I actually really like that switch up because it doesn't make it to where, you've got a whole team of people who have never seen elimination and one person who's seen 6.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I do really like that the team representatives / captains / leaders / whatever you want to call them. I'm glad that they're going to be changing every week.
Yeah. As soon as they announced what happened, Sarah was like, nobody's going to nominate themselves to be representatives. And I was like, correct. Because I had already watched it on Wednesday night and she fell asleep. And then we were rewatching it tonight for the first time, me having seen it already. And she was like, nobody's going to nominate themselves. Yep. Indeed.
Yep.
Moving on.
Well, there's no incentive to do so, right?
No. Which is why,
you just want to be on the winning team or the non-winning team and just don't be the representative.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that's why they make the switch because it wouldn't play out well. So we get into house deliberations, and this part's actually relatively short comparatively. It's usually the flip the other way around.
Yeah, it's usually a ton of house deliberations and then really short nominations. But
really, we find out Tony wants to make a deal with Era 4 to protect him going forward. And look, I heard of this on Zach Nichols' podcast, Derrick, or Zach's clip, which he said, look, it makes sense. He doesn't have a number 1 in this house. He doesn't have anyone where he's not on the bottom of the list. He knows Bananas is that they have history together, but he also feels like Bananas is going to fuck him over at the first opportunity he gets, which may be accurate. But, I get him trying to garner favor, but I think it's interesting how he goes about it with the newest school of people there. When your other person that is also part of the deliberations has decades of history with the other era in contention.
Yeah.
I did find it interesting that Josh was the one to come up to Tony from what we saw in the edit right away.
So I liked that it was almost like Era 4, which is mostly CBS representatives, immediately go into house mode.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they just start. That's where their game is focused. They're a lot more social in that regard. So it was really interesting to see that Era 4 were the ones that were we need to solidify this. This is why we need to solidify this. Versus Era 2 was much more we've known each other for a really long time. We're friends. You've got other friends on the team, yada, yada.
Well, and I know this is something that you want to talk about because I see it here in the notes, but the fact that when Tony was talking about this in the very beginning, he kept referring to himself as, I put in Derrick.
He just said, if Era 4 will do that, then I'll put in Derrick and Aviv. And it's you will? What about the other half of the whole other person that also gets a vote in this? It just seemed to me like Tony was trying to make decisions. He never once went and talked to Averey and was like, hey, do we want to make a deal with Era 4? Do we want to make a deal with Era 2? What do we want to do? It didn't seem like he did that. And I'm not for all the Tony defenders out there, I'm not saying he didn't. I'm saying by the edit and the way he was talking, the way he was behaving, it felt like he was just going and making deals without talking to the other half of the deciding factor of what's going to end up happening when they go and they sit in that Game of Thrones room.
Especially if you don't have history with people, and if you've been there for 20 seconds, you know that Averey does. So that's definitely a conversation you have. And again, edit. Like, he very easily could have had that conversation, and we just didn't see it because of the story that they want to tell. But
yeah, absolutely.
It also plays out.
Yeah, and I totally get that, but it just the way he was behaving, it just didn't feel that way.
No.
And then what really kind of struck me is that we also get that scene where Derrick C goes in and he's talking to Averey and Tori's in there, and he points out to them, he's like, look, like, Era 4 is super fucking strong. Like, Kyland is very smart, and Casey has never not seen a final. Yep. Why would you want to continue? Like, why would those be? No,
and
why?
It's a really valid point, and it's no different than when he was in the actual deliberation room where it was just the main representatives. See what I did there? Anyways, and he goes, look, like, voting us in and us going home, what does that do for the game? And it's like, exactly, dude, this isn't advancing anyone's game. It's just delaying the inevitable. But
here's the thing. If he sends in Kylan and Casey and they lose to Darrell and Jody, that weakens Era 4 massively. If Derrick C and Aviv lose to, it doesn't really, I mean, not that it doesn't harm Era 4 or Era 2, because it's always better to have more players. I mean, not always, hence War of the Worlds 2. But anyways, most of the times it's better to have a bigger team. And so it's like, it hurts them in that way, but it's not like they're losing a Bananas, a Laurel, a Kara, an Emily, whatever, Nehemiah. Like, they're not losing their big, strong players. But this is an opportunity to knock 2 big, strong players out of Era 4. And instead of doing that, you want to work with them. And my issue with that is that in this moment, it just felt to me like Tony was more focused and worried about making connections and friendships and deals than he was about ensuring that Era 3 was going to win going forward.
Yeah, he was playing the individual game while they're still at the team stage.
Exactly.
And I get his perspective. Look, because I don't want this just to be a shit on Tony Fest, which it's pretty much going to be. Let's be honest about it.
And look, I like Tony. I'm not saying, it's nothing against him. It just, to me, it was a very short-sighted move.
Yes.
I mean, he did good at eating, so
he killed it.
He can have a flower.
and here's my thing is, like, it makes sense. Like, okay, which one of these representatives is more likely to win a daily next? Like, the team that has 15, 20 years of not working together and 40% of the team doesn't work well together, or Era 4, who seems to have everything worked out pretty well.
You mean Era 4 that lost to Era 2 that day?
Just saying.
I'm just saying, you literally have 3 out of 4 of the female goats on one team, and literally, like, arguably the male goat on that team. And you're going to tell me Era 4 is going to beat them out and win more than Era 2 is? And you would rather make a deal with people who have only played a couple of seasons rather than a group of people who have
experience,
like 20
doesn't
years?
Guarantee anything. Otherwise, Era 1 would have won.
It doesn't guarantee anything, but it helps.
Yeah, it does help. But let's also look at the fact that the people in Era 4, they haven't played a lot of seasons, but Josh has played the last 9.
No, I know.
You know what I mean?
Very well aware.
But they're sort of like a mixed bag. Whereas like Era 2 is, yes, they have their issues, but even Derrick said in confessional, when it's game time, when they're in a daily, it's game time, they're together. And if they don't fuck with each other in the house, then that's fine. But when they're actually in a daily, especially now that they've changed the rules for next week, they're in it to win.
Well, before they knew that, though, that's not necessarily true. That's Derrick trying to sell it. And Derrick didn't do a great job of selling this in the deliberation. He's like, well, we're going to go after big players. And it's like, well, Tony's like, that's kind of me. You know what I mean? Like, it's not exactly what I want to do.
That was a confessional that Derrick had said about them working together as a team.
Oh, okay. Anyways, but even then, Kara talks about the fact that, when we find that out later, oh, well, this will keep Bananas and Laurel from throwing matches. So that team doesn't always work together well. And it might be addition by subtraction with them. I'm not saying this is a fucking smart move, but I understand Tony's rationale for thinking this. Yeah. I don't believe in what he did next with this information. but I do understand him contemplating it.
He comes from an era of you want to surround yourself with the strongest people to get to the end, more so than you want to make sure that the people that you're standing with at the end you can beat.
Yes,
But
It's true.
here's my thing. Here's one of my things with it. Because I have more than one. But one of my things with this is that Tony keeps trying to make deals with the representatives. The representatives are going to change. So because you make a deal with Kyland and Casey doesn't mean that Jenny and Theo are going to fucking agree to that shit next week or in 3 weeks. It doesn't mean that. So at the end of the day, it should come down to who do you want to run against? Who do you want to play against? Who are you most comfortable beating? And I personally think that, you know, it was a short-sighted move, and it was a good opportunity to severely weaken Era 4. Whereas Era 2 wouldn't have really super been affected, I don't think. I don't say that against Derrick and Aviv. They're great players. But again, it's not like the heart of the team, you know, where like Kyland and Casey, like they're two massive, strong players for Era 4.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of crossover between 2 and 3, like as far as relationships and things like that. Obviously you do have some from 3 to 4 as well. But with 2 and 3, Tony's not really been in the game for a while, but there's a lot of intersection between Era 2 and 3 that could be beneficial. Especially if you band together and if you're able to get out 2 strong players like Casey and Kyland. Like I feel like if Tony were to think about it a little bit longer, there was as much reason for him to side with Era 2 in addition to Averey, in addition to her friendships and the friendships that are already standing in his team as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I just think we see a totally different decision making if Tony has one of his friends in this house, if Zach's in this house.
Maybe.
Because at this point, he's grasping for life, right? He knows
he
just got voted in by his era, and he's on the bottom of the totem pole with every single one of them. And even if he makes this deal with Averey and says, you know what, we can save Derrick, C, and Aviv, you know, he's still on the bottom of that alliance and whatever connection there is into it. So he's going to go in again. I get him searching for a deal. I don't agree with the way he went about it in the end results, but it makes sense to me.
I mean, yeah, I get it, but I also don't necessarily I don't know. I know that he's the odd man out on the team. I definitely get that. You know, I mean, Era 3, there's a lot of the vacation, you know, Tori, Devin, Jordan.
Yeah, but Tony also already came in hot talking to Corey in like episode 1.
Yeah, like he came in super hot, shooting at Jordan, absolute right out the gate. And then this whole thing and being, in my opinion, like being complete, because part of the issue with this is that it wasn't just Averey. Like the whole rest of Tony's team and even other people in the house were like, bro, probably not a great idea. Like you should probably just cut your losses on this one and show some teamwork. You know what I mean? And to me, like he's showing a literal complete unwillingness to work with the team at all. So it's like at that point, you might as well just go home because you're not going to gain any favor doing this. Like it's not going to gain any favor with your team or any of the other teams. But Anna's explained it fucking perfectly, in my opinion. Like you're literally,
I don't like that.
You're literally falling on a sword for people that you met a week ago. Not like you're putting yourself in a position to go home for people you met a week ago. And then it actually turns out that Tony doesn't actually think he's putting himself on the line because he is sure that he's going to crack Averey. And assert his dominance. Like, bro.
Or that he's going to not necessarily crack Averey, but he's going to put Averey in a position that Derrick has to step in to save her.
Yeah.
So that is also working under the assumption that she can't protect herself and Derrick would put himself in to protect her. But the one thing he said in the deliberation that really struck me as like this is you very short-sighted in your decision making, is when he said, like, at the end of the deliberation, he said, everybody here is going to tell me that they're going to protect me in order to not go in. So he said, you can't trust anyone in the house.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so you can't trust anyone in the house, but you are also discounting the relationships from your second in command in your eyes, who has relationships outside of the house that are now in the house.
Yeah.
So those are presumably the ones you can trust based on that explanation.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I think it was just very short-sighted. I think he had just as much of an opportunity to work with Era 2 as he did with Era 4. And it would have probably worked out better in his favor, and he wouldn't have ended up down in the fucking elimination taking his ass home.
Well, and here's the thing. I'm just doing this to be the devil's advocate in this situation, because at the end of the day, if he sits there and he really plays this move right, he looks at Averey and goes, if I give you what you want, let's have a sit down with Derrick real quick and Ryan. And then you say this, you look at him and say, hey, look, I'll save you guys this time, but you guys have to look out for me, in the future, and then you get, connections to Averey, Derrick, Ryan. Derrick's working with Laura at this point. Like John A. You get inroads with everybody at that point.
Yeah.
And if you have a conversation with Bananas and say, look, during that elimination, you were rocking for Leroy. What's up? I thought we were close. Because Bananas even said in his confessional, like, I'm friends with both of them, but like Leroy has been there for me in and out of this game since we've met.
In a different way. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
It's very different.
Like, if he has that conversation with Tony and explains that, maybe Tony doesn't understand it, not understand it, but maybe he doesn't think that that's accurate.
Right.
But that's Bananas giving him his reason. And then in reality, like, Bananas is his one person in the house, and he's discounted that because of the previous elimination, which understandable. His feelings were hurt because Bananas was rooting for Leroy to beat him and send him home.
Yeah, and I get that. And honestly, part of me feels like that's why Tony was so hard pressed to not work with Era 2, is because he was taking out his anger on Bananas on Era 2. And, and so I get it. I get him having his feelings hurt. But at the end of the day, it's like, dude, this is a fucking game, and you have to do what you have to do and play in this tough guy role of, I'm going to assert my dominance, bang on the table, you bang on my chest. It's stupid, bro. You look stupid.
They gave her an ultimatum.
Like, it's just
all your ideas are stupid.
I just want to say really quick, because I've seen this a lot in a lot of the Facebook group comments, Instagram, wherever, is everybody like, why is Tony taking so much heat for this decision for deciding to stalemate, but Averey's not? Because Averey stalemated as well. And you're right, but Averey stalemated for someone that she's known for over 10 fucking years. Tony is stalemating for somebody who he met a week ago, who he literally has no idea whether or not they'd ever actually be faithful and loyal to him. He doesn't know that. He's just taking their word and then rambling off about how you can't trust anybody. So like, what is it, Tony? Like, so that's why I say Tony's the fucking fool here. If he had pulled a Zach, where Zach was standing up for Bananas and Tony, for like people he's known for years, and was like, no, I would feel differently about the situation, like Bananas said. But the fact of the matter is, bro, is that you're literally sending yourself home and cutting your time and your check short for somebody you met a week ago. And I hope it was worth it.
He gave her an ultimatum before they left the table. And it was at that moment that it was no longer an option for Averey to do anything other than dig her heels in. Yeah. Because Tony said, like, if you don't vote, essentially, if you don't vote how I want you to, I'll send us in. Yeah. And then she was like, fine, send us in. See how it goes.
Yeah.
Because
she's like, I don't mind going in either.
And every subsequent conversation and interaction where Tony reinforced either asserting his dominance or this is what I have to do, or I have to stick to my guns. But the things that he was saying was like, I need to stick to my guns so she'll back down. Whereas she was sticking to her guns to defend her alliance outside of her era and her friends. So hers was more so reactionary. And like, yes, they both stalemated and they made that decision to go down in the sand together. But the only way that she doesn't go down in the sand is if she sells out a friend and the friendship goes beyond the game, outside the game. And when you play again and again and again in this format with people season after season after season, you don't want to mess up a 12-year friendship over a single elimination.
Yeah, especially one so early in the game.
Yeah.
But I did want to ask you guys really quick, sorry, before we move into post-noms. What did you guys think about Darrell saying he'd rather go against Aviv and Derrick C?
I'm going to keep my answer really short and succinct. He thought he could beat fucking Derrick C and Aviv compared to Kylan, because Kylan just beat him in an elimination less than a year ago. So there you go.
He should have said that, and maybe he did, and they cut it out. But like,
he's like, I already went against Kylan. Might as well go against Derrick. Let's
Complete
go that
set.
way. Yeah.
I think he might have gotten a little less hate if he would have pointed out that, like, not only because I think I can beat them, but because he's already beaten me recently.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's like a really good point too. Honestly, I didn't even think about that. My mind went straight to, because when they asked this, we get the confessional from Aviv where she's like, what the fuck, Darrell? Like, did you forget about fresh meat? Did you forget about the puzzle that I solved that put us 3.5 hours ahead of everybody else? And I'm like, no, bitch, he didn't forget. Why do you think he would want to go against that? Like, he don't want no part of that shit in a final. Are you kidding? Bye-bye. Like, thank you for the win, but bye-bye.
She also mentioned that it had been 18 years.
Yeah.
And I was
since they talked.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I mean, I understand you guys won together, but also, do you really want the heat from Kylan and Casey for the rest of the season by saying, yeah, I'll totally go against them?
Do you want the heat from your wife for not getting further in the season and bringing home the paycheck because you wanted to protect some friendship that you had 18 years ago and you haven't talked to the person since?
Yeah.
This is also why I like Darrell, because at no point was he like, well, I need to settle the score with Kylan. He sent me home last time.
No, fuck that. No.
Fuck
I just want to
no,
win.
thank you. I am going to win and I am going to keep playing. I feel like I have a better chance against them.
Yep. No,
Exactly.
I love that.
He doesn't pull punches, and that's why I really appreciate Darrell.
Yeah, I agree.
Before we get into post noms, is that what you were going into?
Oh, I was just gonna point out one last thing from the nomination table after everybody leaves and Tony and Averey are sitting there talking. I think this was the moment that really showed me just how short-sighted Tony's being in this moment. Is I think because he says to Averey that he says, I don't know if Era 2 is ever going to be in a position of power. What? What?
They just
like, it doesn't have to be Derrick and Averey, right? Just Era 2 has to win. Just all of them as a team. Like, you don't think that Bananas, Laurel, Cara, Emily, Nehemiah, Derrick, you don't think that any of them are going to be in a position of power? Like, that's so short-sighted.
Yeah, it's horrible.
You know what I mean? So like, that was the moment where I was like, come on, Tony. Like, at this point, you're just saying things to say things because you want to have your way. That's all it feels like.
Here's my thing. This is the only thing I'll go into post noms, but I want to take a little bit of a break real quick.
That's fine.
Is when he was talking, I forget who he was talking to right after this nomination ceremony. He goes, I pulled my trump card and she didn't back down. He was like joking. I was like, oh, okay. So they're going to work this out.
Yeah.
They did not work it out.
No, it was with Corey of all people.
Yeah. He was like, I pulled my card too soon too.
But you know what was funny about that I found so interesting about that conversation? He walks in that room. He says that to Corey and he's like making a big joke about it. Jonna's sitting right on the fucking bed right there. Mm-hmm. Like, she's going to go tell Averey that you're in there, what you're saying, how this is like some grand plan of yours. Like, that's the stupidest person to say that in front of. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, Jonna, Derrick, Averey, like, they're all connected. Okay.
They all lived in Phoenix together.
It's fine.
All right.
Come on, talking about Toga Party.
Yeah, I was thinking about Grandma's Boy because that's what I'm going to watch after we're done. But Toga Party. Yeah.
What?
It's a classic.
Grandma's boy.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch Grandma's Boy. Like where he goes to get all the food out of the oven and burns his hands. Oh,
my
motherfucker. All right. Fresh start.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right. So after post noms, we get into the Toga Party, which fuck yes.
Are you kidding?
So fun.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. So here's my thing though. Like, was this on the spot or did production tell them about this ahead of time?
They must have, because as a woman, you probably noticed their wardrobe, and some of the ladies had like accessories that you wouldn't have unless you knew ahead of time.
Yeah, like Ryan had a whole leaf theme going. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, Ryan brought that with him.
yeah.
Yeah. My thing is everything was matching. So then it also makes me think maybe production just got it all for them.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Because all the little gold
Yeah.
that tied their stuff together, it was all, and everything was matching. But then Cara was like, oh, the only costume I have is whatever that was.
Rocky
I don't
Horror.
even know.
Yeah, it's from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
She just wanted to be different.
She just,
Frankfurter, that's it.
she
Yeah.
just wanted to stand out.
Do you think she would have done that if Polly was still there?
Yes.
Did you see the bulge in the package too? Like she went all out in that fucking.
Yeah.
She went all out in that one. I was
She
like,
stole
all
a
right.
nanner from the kitchen.
Polly would have gone as Janet.
He would have.
Mhm.
But
No, it was awesome though.
CT pro tip. It's okay to have fun while you're on the challenge.
Yeah, that's a good pro tip.
It is. I'm loving these CT pro tips. I really hope.
yeah.
Me too.
I hope this sticks like for the whole season.
Even
And
if
you know what? If he gets eliminated, they need to keep him on.
I was
Every once in a while, we just get a
Yeah.
flash where his head pops up and he's like, CT pro tip. You know what I mean? Like,
like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, they should bring him on for future seasons, even if he's not on it. Just show him the edit and just pop up CT pro tip. Never nominate yourself to go into eliminations.
Yeah.
yeah, like it's so great. I love it.
Yeah.
I love the CT pro tips.
He did say something we've all been thinking, though. He said that
Yes.
it's nice to see people having fun on the challenge. And
Yes.
It's been a while.
It has. And it's been missing. He said it.
They had booze and fucking vapes and
Yeah.
like it was a legit like little house party they were having, and we haven't seen one of those in years.
In a minute.
And I think it's really because of location. I don't think there's like an empty bar they can go rent out in Vietnam.
That's true.
No,
And this movie set that they're living on doesn't have that, I guess.
they don't have
Yeah.
an igloo.
They don't have an igloo.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All they have is a Game of Thrones room.
They do have a Game of Thrones room.
Yeah.
That thing is awesome.
They could have had
And-
a party in there.
And the weirdest like little lounging area like right downstairs from the beds with windows everywhere.
Oh my God.
But not even windows you can close, just holes in the wall.
It's
In
just
the
very
shape
weird.
of windows.
Did you guys peep Jenny just carrying bananas in like a small
Yep.
child?
I definitely did.
He was like, "Are you sure?" She's like, "Yeah, I got you. Don't trip."
Yeah.
No effort. It literally looked like she was picking up a feather. Like she did not struggle one bit picking up that full grown man. And bananas isn't small. Like
No.
he's a
She
big
has
dude.
she has limited screen time, but I feel like every single bit of screen time, you just fall in love with Jenny all over again.
I'm about to get some brownie points with Tony. This isn't the first time Jenny's carried bananas through a season.
Ooh,
Boom.
burn.
I kid.
Banana burn.
I kid.
Bananas Foster, because it's on fire.
Don't talk about that.
He just
got
knows how to
burnt
make
bananas.
alliances. He just knows how to make alliances with the right fucking people. And Jenny's one of those people you make a fucking alliance with.
Facts.
Just putting that
Yeah.
out there.
Facts.
No, I love the fucking Toga party. It, like Rachel said, it reminded me of an old challenge. And I think that's part of the reason we all grade this episode so high.
Yeah.
Great daily, good fucking drama in the deliberations.
Yep.
Toga party, fucking hookups everywhere.
Everybody's doing it.
Everywhere. Everybody's getting some.
They're doing it.
Except for
Yes.
Era 1, because they're
They're
all
not.
They're all in
married.
bed.
Like-
They went to bed at 9 o'clock.
They are
Yeah.
asleep at 9. Yes.
They're asleep at 9, and they
Yes.
either have significant others or are not at that point in their life. Right
and
then.
that's cool. That's
Yeah.
fine. But we got we've got freaking
Michelle and Devin doing it
Michelle
in
and
public.
Devin. Yeah.
We've got Naya and Theo just cuddled up on the phone.
Naya.
Not Naya and Theo.
Olivia.
I'm sorry. Olivia and Theo.
Yeah.
And Theo is fucking smashed this whole portion. Like he is fucking smashed.
Gone.
But speaking of Naya, her and Kylan, and I love how she's like, I'm going to make Josh and Kylan fall in love with me. Not in those exact terms.
I'm going to make one or both of these men fall in love with me.
Yeah. I was like,
damn, Naya.
do it. This is what the challenge needs. Like it hasn't happened in a while where we get these like very obvious hookups.
Yeah. No, I'm here for it. You know what, girl? Have fun.
You only live once.
I honestly completely understand because, I mean, Naya is a super tall built girl, and both of those guys have like the perfect build to match her.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I could totally see why she would find both of them attractive. But I will say, they are, I just couldn't see them personality wise matching her. Like I feel like she would be like that scene of JWoww from Jersey Shore when she's like, I chew guys up and I spit them out or whatever. Like I'll bite your head off or something like that.
Right. I mean, I think she likes Josh because they're very opposite.
Yeah. I could see that. To be honest, I feel like that is me and Sam.
Okay.
Like I'm the Naya and he's the Josh, but he would be pissed if he heard me say that. He doesn't cry like Josh, but he is the softer one of us.
Oh, well, it's the same over here. Like you got to have somebody that's going to yell at the waitress to bring you the right mashed potatoes.
It kind of stinks though, because I feel like this is when I end up knowing too much because I want to have the suspense of like, which one does she pick?
Right. But we know.
I kind of just know.
Yeah. We already know because we've seen.
But I mean, here's the thing is like, I respect the fact that it went from I'm going to make out with him to cut scene. They're in bed together with everybody else laying around them. And it's like, no shame.
None.
Crazy because Kylan wouldn't even kiss Melissa in front of people last season.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if Berna was in this house?
Oh my God.
She would not be able to get any sleep, hall monitoring everyone.
Yeah.
What would Naya do to Berna in that situation?
Oh.
I feel like Berna would have just made a catwalk between like all the windows so she can just go back and forth and be like, quit it. But you're supposed to be on this side of the room.
She's so similar to Ninja, the fact that she wouldn't just walk it, she would like crawl underneath it or something.
Oh my God.
So from this scene, we get, Naya and Kylan going at it. And then downstairs, it's Olivia, Theo, Tori. Who else is there? Michelle.
Yeah, I think Michelle's there.
Yeah.
And there's someone else. I forget who.
Couple people, but.
And they're all just drunk, laughing, joking about stuff. And the way it's edited is they try to portray it as like they're laughing at Josh because
Naya's hooking up with
Kylan. Yeah, exactly. And
which is the stupidest thing.
Yeah, it is. And so then we get this weird edit of Josh and Tori going at it because he heard her talk shit. But from the edit, what we saw, she doesn't talk shit. She
doesn't say anything.
She goes, Josh isn't going to do shit about it, but there's no context to what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And then says, Josh could be a pimp.
Yeah.
Like
and then
that's
laughs.
and then they laugh. And she says that
Josh
mocking.
could be a pimp.
But it's because
Theo said
Theo
it. He was
says
like,
it and he's so
like,
drunk.
Josh could be a pimp. And Tori's like, Josh could be a pimp.
Yeah, like
she just lost it laughing.
Yeah, she was mocking Theo. So.
Yeah, like it's the weirdest thing. And then the edit makes it look like they're arguing about, like that they're fighting about Tori laughing. But their confessionals and their conversation make it clear that they're arguing about something deeper, which turns out to, from the flashback we get, be the USA 2 moment where Tori voted Josh into elimination.
Which is so weird because we've seen them together so many times from that point to this point where it's filmed.
Yeah.
Like in actual real time.
Yeah. So it's like, it's so weird. Like it makes me feel like, not even makes me feel. I 100% know there is a massive fucking chunk of this fight missing. A massive chunk of this fight missing.
You think they were just trying to force it to make some drama?
Yeah. I think they were trying to,
I think everybody was drunk and Josh got pissed. He got woke up, and then he heard people laughing. Looked, saw Tori down there, assumed it. It turned into a fight.
They started and I think that fight. I think it started with that, and then I think that it went into, I'm not your friend, blah, blah, blah. If you were my friend, you never would have voted me in. And then it blew up even more from there. And you know what I mean? Like, I think it was just this big thing. And they just took out the middle part and made it look like their friendship broke up because Tori was laughing about Naya and Kylan hooking up, which it's like,
and
what?
We don't get any really real resolution, but
none.
From what Corrina says, like, they're still following each other on Instagram, and they've been together since 40 what got done filming.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like, you knew something was going to be going down because Cup of Noodles made an appearance. So
we've all been Michelle, though. Let's be honest. We've all been that guy, like, oh, shit.
But then you're stuck in the middle, and if you leave, then it's obvious that you've left, but it's possible that no one has noticed you yet. So you just stand there, fork half between you and the bowl. I won't move. Maybe they'll go away.
If I move really slowly, they won't be able to tell I'm still here. I'll just blend into the background.
Oh my god.
Anyways,
too funny.
Yeah, it's Cup of Noodles. Noodles play a prominent role in the challenge. It's really Italian food in general. But it was a great scene. And once again, check off the fucking good episode list. Have a fight in the house between friends that are drunk.
Yep.
And I will say this. And again, like, it's very obvious that we're missing definite pieces of this.
Oh, yeah.
Props to Josh for being, like, coherent throughout it. Like, it wasn't like he just immediately went back to how we've seen Josh in the past. It was fairly reserved, at least for Josh. And that was...
He wasn't, like, screaming at Tori.
Yeah, it wasn't like a screaming match. It was a heated conversation. And I think that does show how Josh has grown. And I'm sure, like, 3 episodes from now, something else will happen and I'll be like, never mind. But for now, as I do like Josh. So I think that that's a step forward. And I think that we're seeing a lot of improvement from a lot of people in a lot of different ways so far on season 40.
Right.
So another thing I didn't have on my bingo card was the fact that Emily was going to make an appearance and basically say, you know what? If Nani wasn't here, Casey, you're my type.
Yeah, what?
Yeah. She is just a man and woman eater. She's just after it.
After it all, man.
It's all that magnesium. I promise you.
She's like, I forgot what this was like being in this house with all these hot people.
Yeah, exactly.
She's about that life.
She is ready. That was pretty funny.
Hilarious.
I would not have ever guessed that.
So, all right, getting back into the Tony thing, because this is what we're really here to talk about. At this point, it goes to Tony, I think, talking to Derrick K.
Yes.
Telling him, like, he thinks that as long as he sticks to his guns, that Derrick C is going to stand up and say, no, Averey, you're not going in. I'll do it for you. He's going to fall on the sword. He doesn't know that these two have known each other for fucking ever by now. Or he does, and he's just ignorant to it. And as much as, me being the devil's advocate and not wanting to rag on him, it's just such a stupid fucking move at this point.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what this leads into is rule number 1. Don't go into a nomination or into an elimination willingly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, this is the stupidest fucking thing. It's the worst, especially when you won. You're the only people safe. Like, what? What the fuck are you thinking? It just, so...
Of course, DK is going to encourage him.
Oh yeah, of course he is.
Yeah, let's chaos.
Why not? Yeah,
some people want to watch the world burn. There's a reason that Derrick K was in all those great moments of all the different eras. Some people are just like, you should do that.
Yeah, definitely. You should absolutely do that.
It's like that stop sign that's the color green. Like, no, stop, please.
No, please stop. You should stop. Not do
TJ,
that.
you should pick a fight with Cyrus.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Do it.
But yeah, Tony is so set on this idea that Averey's either going to back out or Derrick is going to stand up and say, hey, Averey, don't do it. And Averey is sticking to her guns too, to the point where she actually packed all of her shit.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony didn't pack a single thing because he was so sure that it was going to fucking come out his way. So he doesn't pack anything. Averey's ready to fucking go. She's ready to put it all on the line for Derrick. And look, I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit here. I don't want to forget to say this later. And this is all pure speculation based off of myself. I know a lot of people out there are giving Derrick some shit for not standing up and stopping Averey from going in for him. But looking at it from my perspective, if I was Averey, and I don't know if this happened or didn't happen or anything, but if I was Averey, I would have told Derrick, do not do it. Because it would completely diminish what the message Averey was trying to send in that moment. She didn't care about winning or losing the elimination. Her point in this was standing her ground against Tony, who was trying to railroad her into something she wasn't comfortable with for literally no reason. It wasn't like he was trying to save his best friend or something like that. Right. It was for nobody. So if Derrick then stands up and says, you know what? No, Averey, you're not going in. I'm going in for you. Tony then gets his way. And Averey is, I personally would have asked Derrick, don't do it. Let me handle this. Because if we end up going home, he's going to pay for that. And if we end up winning, then, I stood my ground and I let him know that he's not going to walk all over me.
It's a no-win situation for Tony. And that's why, look, I want to give a shout out to fucking Bananas for confirming what we joke about, but are halfway serious, which is, no, you lie, you do this, you do whatever you have to do to get to the end of the game. And like he said, if it came down to it and my mom was going into elimination, bye, Mom, you better go low on that hall brawl. You know what I mean?
He said, you better put your shoulder down and run through someone in hall brawl.
Enjoy that flight home, Mama, because I'm still in it.
I don't know if Derrick and Averey had a conversation like that. But I could see something like that being the situation because, again, him standing up would have diminished what I feel the message Averey was trying to send with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
100%. And yeah, Tony just made a boneheaded move. I mean, that's what it should be called, is the boneheaded move.
Yeah.
We get into an elimination one step at a time, or step by step. Sorry.
Just so you know, I just saw New Kids on the Block last week.
That's where that came from. I saw this and I was like, this is going to work.
Yeah.
Anyways, after that awkward transition, we get into the elimination. Averey lets Tony kind of take the floor and tells TJ that there was no decision made. And I hate this fucking edit right before they go to commercial. It's just like, no, we haven't come to an agreement. Shot, transition shot, intense music. They're just standing there, not doing anything. Shoot, different shot, different edit, commercial.
Yeah,
it's like, what? Why, dude? This is too much. Just, you ain't got to do all that.
Yeah.
But we come back and they both say, like, no, we haven't come to an agreement. We don't know who we want to, we're not going to. And TJ tells him how disappointed not to play him for a fool.
He says, don't fuck with me.
I was trying to keep it PG, but thanks, guys.
No, we don't do PG here.
No, but yeah, don't fuck with him.
He says, don't fuck with me.
And I like how he didn't make it a big deal. He was just like, all right, get down here. Come on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's go.
You knew it. Like, you knew it walking into this arena.
This is season 40.
Yeah.
I kept wondering if they were going to change their clothes because it took a while.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't do the.
I know. I was waiting for it.
It should have happened, but.
Yeah, I think they took a lot of heat for that on season 39.
I thought it was fun.
So what did you guys kind of think of this elimination? The fact that it was a puzzle, but yet physical and endurance related. I really liked it.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I liked it. I'd have been fucking bad at it.
Oh, I would have been horrible at it. I would have been walking.
I'm colorblind.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not that. No, I'm not that.
I'm also dumb, but I'm colorblind too.
Yeah. I have a low IQ and I'm fat and don't breathe well. So I would have done horrible on this. I could lift those things, but I'd be like, oh, I would have tweaked my back on the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When they were like, there's no more red left. I was like, yeah, there are. And then Sarah's like, you would not do well at this.
Oh, because they were pink.
Because they're pink.
There was a lot of pink ones too.
Yeah. Just to make the circle back to Jay doing the fucking elimination last in All Stars 4. Tony with that connection once again.
Yeah.
I represent the Jays.
I love it, dude. It's a great elimination. Tony's a fucking idiot. We get the flashback to Zach and Amanda.
Yeah.
Which at least Zach was doing it because he's really good friends with Tony and Bananas, not because he's trying to prove a point.
So can I look, do you think Tony was trying to like kind of mimic like the legendariness that Zach's move has become? Like, because even though Zach lost and went home, it's still like one of the most iconic things that's ever happened on the challenge, especially in the modern era.
And he was involved, so he knows.
And he was involved. He watched it happen, and he watched the shock, and he probably felt it go through the actual cast that was there, because I'm sure, it was probably like fucking holy shit, So I wonder if it was, again, kind of going back to like the ego and pride points that we've made, is, just kind of feels like he was trying to kind of imitate that legendary feeling. And I don't know.
Trying to make something epic happen.
Yeah.
It was just such
it just was dumb to do.
I mean, it now is going to go down in the books, but for being so bad.
Well, I think that what it really comes down to is when he did his like confessional before they went in, and he said the plan backfired, Averey didn't back down.
Yeah.
Which means that your plan wasn't to create an alliance with Casey and Kyland.
No.
Your plan was to make Averey back down.
Yeah.
Well, and going back to comparing it to this, what Zach and Amanda did, it was a much later point in the game where Zach literally only had Bananas and Tony.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Amanda had the whole Lavender Ladies, and there was no compromise to be made there. And we all saw it for what it was. Mm-hmm. Where it's the first real elimination of the game. And you're going to die on a hill that is literally an ant hill.
Yeah. Like, you don't even know how the game is going to work fully. Like,
you don't even know if there's a fucking redemption house. You don't know shit.
You do know that they kept the losers back last week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know, just really, really silly. But you know what I did enjoy though, is when they're getting ready to set up Darrell and Tony's elimination, Darrell, they asked Darrell like what his strategy is. And he's like, oh, my strategy is everyone who's pissed off on that stage who's going to help me. I was like, that's fair.
I just liked how Nehemiah was like, as soon as he found out it was an individual, he was like, kick his ass.
Seabass.
Beat his ass, Darrell.
Beat his ass, Darrell. Yeah.
That was funny.
I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Tony looked like a lost fucking
what was
puppy
he doing
up there. He just no clue.
What was he doing?
No, it didn't help that at that point his own team wasn't 100% sure what to do either. But it was rough. And I don't necessarily, I wasn't there, so I don't know if he was totally checked out, and I don't know if he was just putting on a show of like, I don't know what I'm doing so that he could go home. Mm-hmm. That's what the narrative is. He seems adamant that it wasn't, but he was definitely fucked.
Yeah. Just, I don't know. It just like, and I know that Era 3 wasn't as helpful with Tony as they were with Averey, but it's not like he didn't.
Curve.
It's not like he didn't get any help. Like Devin and Jordan were trying to help him, but there were like times where they were like shouting out to him, and he's just standing there like squinting at the board from across the arena, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Giving it that
move,
famous,
bro. Like, do something.
That famous Tony glaze.
It was just so frustrating to watch. I was like, really, really though?
I mean, there's not really much to talk about. No. Apparently, Tony had to reset twice, not just once.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's what he said. Only one was shown. Darrell tweaks his back a little bit, but he wins.
The cat back.
The cat back.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the cat back. CT. At least bend at the waist. You got that cat back.
CT should have probably worked for OSHA at one point in his life. I'm going to be honest.
Oh my God.
CT pro tip, bend at the waist.
I just want just confessionals and CT pro tips from him all the time. Just all the fucking time, whether he's on the cast or not. It's so funny.
You gotta keep that straight back when you're lifting heavy fucking pieces of concrete. And that's what I think they really were. I think they were just like
Slabs of concrete.
slabs of
The concrete
concrete.
tiles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the way they were dropping them, they were breaking in those little frames.
Yeah.
Darrell smokes Tony. It's not even really close. The real matchup was the girls. It was Jody and Averey.
Wow, it was close too.
Yeah. And look, I think Devin's right. Avery's a fucking sleeper.
Yeah.
Like she could do some damage in this house. And she proved that she's gonna, stand on her ground and put all 10 toes down. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I heard that somewhere.
Jody's not a slouch either.
No, Jody's one of my favorite women in the
I
challenge
love her.
ever. And I think even though she was in it very early, she's still one of the best.
Oh yeah.
She's right up there with Rachel for me.
I love Jody. Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the greats from, especially back then. It's just, we're in a different type of game now. Like, how does Jody compete with Jenny West?
Well, and Jody said,
How does Bananas compete with Jenny? Well, she comes second.
how does
but never
anybody
mind.
eat?
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, or like Horacio or Kylan, like we said. It's like, these are like pro athletes or close to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for God's
But-
sakes, Theo was an Olympic fucking sprinter.
Yeah. But I mean, but even then, like she still was like so close. Like it was such a close race. And Jody had said, and I believe this was actually in part of those final thoughts, Tony, that you had brought up earlier that come on at the end of the episode, is that she had said that, she just kind of got screwed with bad positioning to start with because she was so far from the crowd. She couldn't like hear as well as, Averey, who was a little closer, and it's also like going to be difficult for them to hear anything because everybody's shouting. Everybody, like it was loud for the girls. It wasn't like that for the guys, but it was loud for the girls.
Yeah.
And so, it's like, I totally get it. And I still just want to give Jody major props because like she almost had it too, and so, I'm sad to see Jody go. But like you said, still one of the best in my opinion.
Yeah.
One of the best parts that came out of this, other than Averey winning, and it's probably going to be my quote of the night, was Laurel's confessional during Tony's, and she's like, "Suck my dick." And I was just like, "Yeah, Laurel, I fucking can dig it."
My dick.
I mean, I
love
don't,
it.
I don't share the same, feelings, but I can appreciate, the being unedited.
I love it.
The thing that like sucks the most for me is like, the fact that Tony did what he did and it went down the way that it did basically made it impossible for Jody to win because it mobilized the entire house to back Averey, which is not like, I'm fine with that as well. I do also really like Averey, but Jody had like such an uphill battle because she was furthest away. She couldn't hear anything. And on top of that, everybody wanted Averey to come back in the house, especially after Tony was going home.
She got stuck in there, like trying to prove a point.
Yeah.
It was just, if you put Jody in one of those eliminations last week, we're having a very different conversation.
Agreed.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
Agreed.
It's just, she was a week late, unfortunately, in the type of elimination she got. Who knows what next week's going to be? It could have been better suited to her, but this was, Averey had something to prove, and I think she brought a little bit extra into that arena too.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? So go ahead.
I was just going to say, what do you guys think about this final twist that we get introduced to at the end of the episode here, where the elimination winners now get to set the representative / now they're called targets on each era for the next daily.
I like it.
I like it too.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It
That makes
just-
sense. They pick them.
It just puts everybody's like what they're trying to do on Front Street, and I enjoy that.
I think, it puts a lot of it on Front Street, but I also think it's going to make it very difficult to like make plans in this because you don't know who's going to win in that elimination. You can't control that. So now there's no real way to control whether or not you're going to be picked. You know what I mean? And then it's also like kind of confusing because it's like, do you shoot for people that you want to go into elimination, or do you make targets of your friends who hoping that they'll win and they'll protect you in return? You know what I mean? So it's like there's so many multiple ways you can approach this twist that I'm actually like kind of excited to see how many different, like different ways of we see it played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
It'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, look, there's going to be some type of vendettas made.
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes, you can't get targeted every single week.
Yeah.
You can get targeted every other week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Pretty crazy.
It's a weird duality where the person who won elimination is safe next week. Presumably, they might be able to make themselves a target. I don't know yet because nobody's tried. But they could make themselves the target rather than putting somebody else on their team. Because otherwise, you're winning elimination, you're safe for a week, and your reward for being safe for the week is to personally target somebody else in your era.
Mm-hmm.
In every era.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, you're coming back into a team that you have to work with, having just potentially put somebody up to go home.
Now make enemies.
Well, and here's my thing. It doesn't mean the same era can't win every week. Like, era 3 could go on a run, and if they're smart, they could pick off the people that mean the most in every era. Like, as soon as like the next elimination happens and somebody goes in there, you say, make CT the target.
Yeah.
Because once CT falls, that side of the legends is diminished highly. Or if someone else wins and they're like, make Jordan the target and you get Jordan out, era 3's fucked.
I am curious to see, though, if you win the elimination, if you're safe from being made target, because it would be interesting if even one of the winners made the other winner a target.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
You know what I mean? Like,
and my first thought was Horacio would be one of those motherfuckers that would be like, I want to target myself again.
Yeah.
Because if I win this next daily, I'm going to fuck some shit up.
I'm fucking this house up. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Same with Kylan.
I actually really like this twist. I'm very excited to see it played out.
I was just going to say, it makes it almost impossible to protect everyone.
Yep.
And it means that everyone is almost forced to play an individual game.
Yeah.
I did find it very amusing how nervous Darrell got during this whole process.
He felt so freaking bad saying Anissa's name. I know he did. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But I mean, what else was he really going to do? What was he going to say? Rachel's name?
I thought he was going to
name?
say Tina's, honestly.
I mean, Tina would have been another decent option, but I don't
fucking
know.
Anissa.
Rachel would have thrown him out a window.
Look, big shout out to Jordan for taking the pressure
Hell
off.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And saying, just pick me. I'll do it.
Yeah, hell yeah. I like that.
Well, Jordan also knows that, just like
he
Horacio.
just knows he's a badass.
Yeah, he knows he's got a high chance of coming back into the house.
Mm-hmm.
So that pretty much wraps up this episode. We get a little bit of a preview for next week. The highlight to me is I get to see Darrell and Laurel fight. Oh my God, that's the battle of the mouthpiece in 2024.
Yeah, it's going to be so good.
Because look, Laurel can talk some shit, but Darrell is no slouch.
I'll
in that
beat your
department.
ass, you little poodle.
Yeah. And sounds like she kind of says something about like his wife or family or something.
Yeah.
Ooh.
She says something about something about happening in marriage.
She said something in regards to stop getting massages. You're married or something like that, or no more massages for the married guy or something. It takes a lot to like actually make Darrell say something back,
but that'll do it.
That'll do it.
That'll do it.
It's gonna be awesome.
It's a coming.
I fucking hate you. I swear to God.
But I mean, look, here's the thing is, when did Laurel start taking the Beth route?
What do you mean?
You know what I mean?
Oh.
You caught up now? Are we on the same page?
We're there.
Okay.
Tina's got puncher.
I hope so. Who was your guys' MVP for this episode?
Ooh.
Male and woman. Male, female.
Male and woman.
All right, give me.
For whatever reason, that really confused me.
It threw me off. Let's separate the sexes.
Man and female.
Let's keep the sexes together.
Am I first?
It's whoever wants to dive in. I just don't want to interrupt anyone.
Ooh. All right. So shit. MVPs. Man, that's tough. That's tough. I know for sure, absolutely, for the women, I'm going Averey. With an honorable mention to Jody for pushing the boat and giving her all there. But I'm definitely going Averey for the women. For the men, honestly, like that one's tough. I kind of want to give it to Devin just for like taking control of the daily and getting them through like the most difficult part that all the other teams struggled the most with. So, and then, obviously honorable mention, major shout out to Darrell. He absolutely killed that elimination and he didn't need very much help from what we saw. So that was cool too.
I'm going to say my MVP for the guys is Darrell for win the elimination. Beat Tony pretty handily.
Yeah.
And then, you can't go against Averey as MVP. Honorable mention for the guys. I don't really have one. For the women, Naya, good social gameplay. Make those boys fall in love with you.
That's fair.
For women, Averey. I've also always been a fan of Averey. Averey was on my kid name list.
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
She wasn't like super relevant at the time, like 3 years ago, but I couldn't imagine if I would have had named my kid Averey and then this was happening. It would just feel weird.
Yeah.
And Darrell, just for always being that motherfucker. I love Darrell
so much.
And honorable mention to Jody because she did a lot this episode. I mean, she worked her ass off this episode. I feel bad that she ended up going home, but
I know
she worked really hard.
She did.
I mean, MVP Averey for the girls and honorable mention for Jody. I mean, she only took the representative position because she had studied and knew all 40 seasons in order. Mm-hmm. And she put in a good effort in the elimination. She was working with half an oar and was still going and jumped out and pushed the boat. And yeah, it always sucks when Jody leaves because it means that Jody's not around next episode. And then for the guys, I mean, pretty much the same as Corrina. Like, Devin absolutely worked that daily, and he's the reason that they got so far ahead that it was so easy to keep that lead.
Yeah.
And honorable mention to Darrell for making sure that it wasn't Tony time, as well as having a lot of the best lines of the night. However, the very best line of the night is short and sweet. Averey's "Go ahead."
Go ahead.
Yeah, I already said mine. Laurel got it. Suck my dick.
Mine was Brad's whole thing with
CT.
his CT.
Yeah.
What's going on back there?
It just
Mine's for sure Darrell saying, Brad said he could work a rudder, but that motherfucker lied.
just every time I see the fucking Brad doing the CT impression reminds me of Tommy Boy. Like,
it just gets me that Brad couldn't even get through it without cracking and laughing while he was saying it. And I know that's exactly how CT sounded in that fucking boat. Just he had the Boston mumble and everything. What's going on right there?
it's so good because they're all friends. You know what I mean?
So perfect.
Anyways,
really quick, last thing I want to add on because I didn't say it when it was happening, but I want to say that I love in the daily that the shield where they had to line up the seasons, that they were like not facing each other so that they couldn't, because if you guys remember on Dirty 30, once the first team got it done, everybody else just copied off of them. So it was like, but they had them facing, like out away from each other. And so I wanted to throw that on there. Anyway.
Yeah.
You may proceed.
Thank you.
I'm going to jump in before you proceed. Jordan also had an amazing line of, I'm watching an episode of The Three Stooges and Tony is Curly, Moe, and Larry all at once.
Yes.
And the one we didn't see, which was apparently Tony went over and congratulated Averey after she had won the elimination, and she told him to eat a dick.
That's awesome. I like that one.
That's not bad.
Yep.
All right. Well, hey, look at that. Under 2.5 hours.
Woohoo!
Once they at the magic of editing, this will probably be under 2 hours, actually.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, that wraps up episode 2, Fatal Era.
No, episode 3.
Episode 3, Fatal Era. Look, we are consistent about the quality of this podcast and how I host it. So you know what to expect. But for myself, Ricky Hayes, my beautiful wife, Corrina Hayes, Alexis, Tex, Rawson, Tony, Stats, and Info Lance, we want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the episode, go ahead and rate us 5 stars. If you didn't, hit us up at Biodome or on Instagram or on Yelp, whichever you prefer. With that being said, we'll see y'all next week for episode 4. Love y'all.
Later.
Bye.